Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. If there's no more questions, I believe we can go ahead and get started. So the first item in our agenda is to call this meeting to order. So that's what I'm doing, and followed by officer reports, which, as you may know, are written now. I have received a good amount, but please make sure to submit them before at least tonight. Sometimes, like before the meeting, I still have to reach out to some people and be like, "Hey, send me your officer report." So if possible, yes, just write something brief by tonight that you can send to me, either Microsoft Teams message or email, whatever's fine. And then Alessia will read it in the full Senate and the Students' Assembly agenda, like we have been doing in the past. Any questions about that? All right. With that being said, we can go ahead and go to our regular agenda, which is we have three items, and the first item in our agenda is to review and vote on the Students' Assembly agenda. So let me open that real quick for you all. Um, yeah, it should say 30th. All right. So this is the agenda for the Students' Assembly this upcoming Wednesday. It is still pretty packed considering there's some bills that have accumulated for a couple sessions now. Thankfully, we only have one, two, three, four, five fees to review. And yeah, I don't think they should. So I don't think unnecessary amount of time on the fees. Uh, and I do want to say we did add two extra sessions last StudEx, if you remember. Um, but I was reviewing this agenda and talking with Alessia, and there really is a possibility we could finish everything on Wednesday. And it all depends on the amount people are taking to vote. Because I grabbed a couple of YouTube sessions that are recorded, and I calculated, and at least 50 to 60% of the time of the meeting is spent waiting for people to vote. So that's literally if a 6 hour meeting, like if 3 hours are being spent almost like waiting for people to vote and stuff, that's obviously very counterproductive. It's terrible for all of us that want to get out of there. So it really is a possibility that we could get, because some of these are funding, some of these have already kind of been discussed, others might require some discussion, but hopefully the time is spent on the discussion and not on the voting. So please, I know I'm gonna reaching out to a bunch of folks, but if you also, know people that are in the Students' Assembly and the Student Senate, their senators, like please tell them like, hey, this could really be our last meeting of the semester, like not counting joint. We just have to be voting there. Like let's make sure when the poll comes out, we vote and not take more than 3 minutes on that. And I'm positive we could get this whole thing passed. If we don't, understandable. That's why we added two extra sessions. Maybe two extra was too much, but it's better to have more than less. I guess that doesn't translate as well as the expression in Spanish. But um, do I see any questions or comments or concerns about the agenda, about the students' agenda? Sorry, students' assembly.
And raise the comments first and then go to hands. Sorry.
Uh,
So Wesley said we're doing all three agendas, right? And I think you spoke to that in regards to like how you're thinking we could do this session. And then work with like the rest of the legislation that comes in because you have a hope that we can finish it. And then Wesley also said the student code is missing.
oh, is that something we're gonna be reviewing this session? I didn't know, honestly. Yes.
Was it introduced through
Okay.
committee of the whole, Wesley?
So is that like, are we supposed to be revising the code? Um, oh, it only needs to go through rights. Okay, okay. Yeah, because I was gonna ask if we need to then full send it. All right. Well, I guess it could be, yep, I can add that to the agenda, and if we don't get a chance to review that this session, we still have that extra session to do that. But thanks for the reminder.
I guess do we have like legislation? Is my question.
Um, oh, like generated, like already with like
Yeah, like
this,
is the
like
legislation generated?
Wesley?
So to my knowledge with how I think it's worked in the past and like the documents we were given by Katie from previous like rights administrations is that we just like pass the code, but with new additions like highlighted or like changes highlighted, etc. So that's the sort of way we went through it. So it's just the code of rights and responsibilities, but you can see what the edits are. So we just followed the same like formatting as what the previous attempt followed.
All right. And was that placed in the ledge tracker?
It was passed in rights. Let's see. I can move it real quick from the Rights and Affairs Council folder.
Or if you could just get it sent to Umberto, and then Umberto could get it
Yeah.
added to the tracker.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Well, it's in the root folder for Rights and Affairs.
Okay, then I'll just go in there and pass it on to the tracker. Thanks, Wesley.
All right.
Holly, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I don't think we should try and do this all in one go, personally. I feel like, and I don't know how other people feel, so I could be wrong, but I feel like we should just do the resolutions this week so we can actually talk about them and move fee to the next cycle. And the reason why I say that is because we have dominated the assembly in the past few weeks, talking about the past few assemblies discussing fee, and we have not spent enough time talking about other issues that are not about money, I guess would be the best way that I would like to say that. And whilst I do think the fee is really important, and I do think that we should make sure to get these student groups through that need their funding, I also think that we should really spend time talking about the DEIB leadership. We really should spend time talking about Ukraine, and we haven't. And we really should spend time discussing the UDK resolution that Wesley wrote. And so I think that we've really spent a lot of time this semester in particular only talking about money and the funds that we have and where they should go and what some students want and some don't. And we haven't talked about other really important issues that are affecting our campus. And finance isn't the only thing. Yes, it's important that we put out this money, but I feel like also at the same time, we just talk about how Student Senate or the Students' Assembly has $24 million, and that's so important. And that isn't the only important part of Student Senate. And it's becoming the only important part, I guess, to me. And it's becoming a really, yeah, I'll stop talking because I've talked too much, but that's just my opinion. And I guess we'll see what everybody else thinks.
Thank you very much, Holly, for sharing that idea. What do other folks think? I see Wesley has their hand raised, and then I'll recognize.
So I think that it's also kind of a bad idea to have all of this in one go, mostly because A, we don't have more StudExes to readjust a agenda if we need to. We'd have to like create like, I guess, ad hoc calling it right now, please God come next Monday if we don't reach quorum, let's say in the middle of this. But we also have the concern of other senators moving the fee bill to the top and then us losing quorum immediately. because they go home, they got the things they wanted done after like all the funding bills are done. Because it's going to be a long night. They're going to see a long agenda. They're going to think, let's get this stuff done first. After they get that passed, they're going to breathe a sigh of relief. They're going to go home, go to bed at like 9, 10 p.m. And then everything else won't get done, and we won't be able to reach quorum for the next 2 sessions. So we should probably break it up a little bit, give people shorter sessions, each with, some like hard hitters in them to like just to sort of allow people to take it more slow and to avoid like the daunting all-night sessions.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Camden, you can speak.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Wesley on at least the aspect of splitting this up into multiple sessions. I mean, personally, I don't really like being in Senate until midnight, and there's a reason we run into quorum issues. However, I'm going to push back, I think, on the notion that Wesley suggested that finance people only care about fee bill and then leave, after the fee gets approved, because as you'll note, we didn't meet quorum on the fee bill itself. The quorum issue is not necessarily inherent to finance alone. It's a problem the entire Senate has to deal with, and I think to characterize it as only a finance issue is disingenuous. And it is my view, I understand I'm coming from finance, I'm biased, but the fee is the most important function of the Student Senate, far and away. $25 million quantifies favorably to the strongly worded letters that, while important, are just exactly that, strongly worded letters that are resolutions. I think it's our obligation to get this done and sent to the Board of Regents as fast as possible. I think fee should be at the top of every agenda.
Thank you very much, Camden. And Alessia, you have your hand raised too.
Yes, thank you, Emerto. So I guess that my thing here is that we could schedule all of these agendas and have them set for each of these special sessions that are, left after this cycle 12 session that we host. But my problem is that at the end of the day, like as we saw this past cycle, the agenda can be amended in that session itself. The agenda could have additions through committee of the whole. There are many things that could happen in the session on Wednesday that could make it to where we have to re-review agendas once again as StudEx. And so I think that if we are planning to host these special sessions, then we might need to have meetings of StudEx that run accordingly with them. Because otherwise, the agenda could take any sort of form unless for some reason people don't want to amend any of these sessions, which, could be a possibility as well. But after seeing what I saw this past week, I'm not sure if we can certainly call every agenda as like the items that are going to be discussed on those agendas are going to be the only ones discussed.
Thank you very much, Alessia. And I see Naya has her hand raised.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for me, I feel like Bill 2022-305, the resolution regarding the DEIB leadership of the provost should be first to be heard on Wednesday, just because this is a bill that's continued to be pushed back. It's continued to be undercut in the Senate. It's literally been on the floor for almost 2 months at this point. There were grievances when it was first presented in committee as a whole. It was said it should have went through councils, which we did. It was passed. The opportunity for amendments happened in councils. People had the opportunity to speak on it. Again, like put their piece in there. We've talked to, the different groups and constituents that are involved in this. And so I think at this point, like, it continues to be a disservice to just continue pushing it back. We only have a couple more fees left to do. I think that bill should be at the top with fee, considering, the move to put fee first above the 2 resolutions last full cycle, because of the importance of fee, but then 2 pieces of legislation were then moved in front of fee, which is what it was originally. So, For the other ones, I can see where like timing could be a little bit more flexible, but I just feel like at this point, with this bill being on the floor for as long as it has, and what's involved in the bill, which is obviously like the mistreatment of minority, marginalized students on campus, which continues to happen and is just as important as money, it should go first before fee on this bill. The rest, I'll let other people, advocate for, but this is a bill that I think at this point, it needs to be heard. It needs to be voted on, whether it's yes or no, that's what it'll be, but it needs to be voted on at this point. We're going on 2 months if we're sitting here saying we care about DEI, we care about these issues, everything about the fee is involved in DEI. So to not hear legislation and to not finally vote on a piece of legislation that is also pertaining to that, I think is just continues to be a disservice to students and to these communities.
Thank you very much, Naya. And Wesley, I think that's the last one. I have a couple things to say, so after Wesley, I'll go.
I agree with Naya. 305 should be a bit higher. And I also think that we can accomplish this by like cutting this 10 items into either at least half for using next Wednesday or into thirds if that's what we decide. But for at least half, there's a lot of funding bills. There's a couple fee things in here. If we split it in half, it'll give people more time to be able to talk about these issues instead of like pushing things to the back. And I don't think we'll have to worry about people like going into committee of a whole and like pulling legislation from the next week because everyone has an interest in like going home before 11 p.m. And like with the confidence, like, oh yeah, it'll just be next week. It'll be okay. All of this stuff will stuff will get through. I think if we split the agenda in half between like funding stuff and resolutions and have a healthy mix of both in both agendas, things will sort of turn out fine and it'll allow for us to have a healthier, shorter session with less stress where people can like maintain their sleep schedules.
Thank you, Wesley. And Holly, actually, you can go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I agree with Naya and Wesley. And I guess my suggestion, am I allowed to make a motion or no?
Yeah, like you can suggest something, and if someone's
okay, well, I guess so that we move along and don't waste everyone's time today, I guess, would be the student groups. I see what Naya's saying in regards to the DEIB resolution should be first, but those student groups have to come to present, don't they, if I'm correct? And so we need to get them done first. But I do think that I would say my motion would be to move G, H, I, and J to the special session, and then keep A, B, C, D, E, and F for this Wednesday. And then if we need that third special session, we can, but that will be so that finance and people wanting to discuss the fee specifically would make it known that they would need to be at that next week. And then this week we actually get the resolutions looked at because they are important and they are continually being pushed away. Umberto and I wrote our resolution like the week the invasion happened, and it's been like over a month. So, and same goes for the DEIB. I think that was literally brought into StudEx into full Senate the first week back in school, and now we're like after spring break, so that's just ridiculous. So that would be my suggestion, and I don't know if I have a second or not, but yeah.
Are there other suggestions on the floor besides Holly's in terms of how we can divide the agenda? If someone wants to prioritize, like not in terms of the order of, I guess I'm interested to know if folks would be like super passionate about having fee this week versus next week. I want to know where the general floor stands, because I agree in the resolutions being at the top right after the organizations present for funding, but in terms of fee per se. Yeah, Wesley.
Well, I agree with like the way that's sort of generally set up because funding student groups is the shortest term issue. They need that money within like 2 weeks. So we can't really kick that down the line. And then the resolutions, as Naya said, like 305 has been sitting there for like over a month. It's long overdue to talk about. And then also finance is over. There's no more committees, so it's in the students' assembly no matter what anyway. So it doesn't matter if fee is heard this week or next week. There'll be no difference. It can't go back to finance, and anything the students' assembly does would be final. And then on top of it, it's probably not going to be super contentious, aside from maybe like one fee. But aside from that, nothing will really change if it's happening this week or next week. We'll just have more time if we do it next week, and it'll be a good incentive to make sure that like everyone shows up for the special session as well. Then there's also funding bills for the special that would be good for the special session, like for the judicial branch, and then constitutional amendments, and then the code as well. Like two sessions, both with funding and non-funding things, and both would be of a decent length, and we could maybe go home by 10 for both of them if that's the way it's cut. So
awesome. And I just have a quick question. Maybe Naya, Holly, Alessia would have an answer. Is there a deadline of when fee needs to be passed, or like by when are we supposed to, when does the timeline say like, hey, this is when you should submit it to us?
Have we gotten any deadline from KBOR through SAC, Naya?
So, sorry, let me pull up because we were just talking about it today. We're meeting in Hayes on the 20th to kind of go over like what our fee proposals are looking like. I know KBOR has requested that it's presented or heard first in like the KBOR's finance committee before it's heard like in the wider but before it's heard by like kind of the wider board. So I believe that it's going to be sorry. I want to say it says we'll be giving our student fee presentations to the board at the meeting along with our CFOs in May. So,
okay.
But I know they want it in the finance committee first. So I imagine it's probably going to be sometime within April-ish. So, but I think if we get it completed by like that first week or two in April, then I think we should be good to go. But I'll circle back. We have our meeting with the chancellor and Dr. Durham tomorrow, so I can confirm tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Naya. Holly, did you raise your hand or was that an accident?
No, if Naya hadn't have said that at the end, I was going to say what Naya said. So
okay, awesome. So it looks like we could Holly, so was it A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Stay that this cycle, and then this, including the code of conduct, pass it to a next session. Is that like, does that motion sound accurate?
that's the motion.
Awesome. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to amend the agenda so that the first.
Do we know which date that this is going to be put on? Because if it is that we only have like the two agendas, do we want to just put it on the 6th session or the 13th session?
I was sorry, Alessia, you still have something to say?
Oh, no. I'm good. Sorry, I was just leaving my
I
microphone.
didn't. I felt like, you know, it pops up with the circle, so I thought you might. I was suggesting that we split it into the two, so that in case the meeting, like for example, this Wednesday or next Wednesday overruns or we lose quorum, that we have that third as a backup, but we
Oh, Holly, I think we can't hear you anymore. Did you say anything at the end, Holly? I think it cut out, at least for me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wrote it in the chat, but I agree with Wesley. Like, keep it to this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 6th or whatever it is, and then use the last one as if we need it as a backup, if we lose quorum.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Alessia, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I also just wanted to introduce something else into the conversation, and I do this fully knowing that, you know, could potentially be going to DC next week with some executive staff during that 6th session. But part of me is also thinking, like, whether it be on the 6th or the 13th, if we had like a finality on when that session would be, maybe we could get more attendance coming in. Like, you know, for example, if we put it on the 13th, maybe that would give people enough of a break from Senate to then come back to that meeting refreshed and pass that legislation there. But I also see the point of, you know, making it like an emergency meeting just in case we don't meet quorum. But I'm thinking maybe we could also drive quorum if we have less meetings over the course of that next few weeks.
Thank you very much, Alessia. And I just saw Holly asked if Sarah could give their opinion on.
Don't worry about that. I already spoke to Sarah separately, and it's okay.
Okay. Awesome. So I guess this would be a matter of, I think, like, because there's already like a break between the last session and the joint Senate, it might throw people off a little, especially if like we're gonna go into election season. I think we should just like have it like this week, next week, and if we really need, then the next one. But now I do know, Alessia, that you would be like doing it online, so it's fully up to like if you would feel comfortable hosting that meeting like that on the 6th.
Oh no, I would be fully comfortable hosting the meeting virtually. It's just if we basically did it and had our meeting on the 30th here and then the 13th and then joint Senate on the 27th, then that would give everyone a week in between to have like a break from Senate and then to come back and review the legislation the next one. And then
I think Alessia.
Oh, sorry, Holly, you can go ahead.
No, you were.
Oh, yeah. And I would say, and then in the case of like the joint Senate, it would also once again give us like sort of the entirety of the election week to be focused on the election and then come into that joint Senate that next week.
Yeah, I think I was just going to agree with Alessia because I didn't think about, because I'm not going on the trip, I didn't think about that. And I think that a lot of people for fee, I know I have people that want to come in person. So I think that could be really difficult to manage that. But like, if we're in a hybrid status and Alessia's not here, I don't know. I just feel like, and also giving people a break is probably a good idea rather than having full students assembly back to back.
So what do other folks think? I would love to know just what other voting members' thoughts are on these two suggestions. Yeah, Ariana.
I was just gonna say that I'm not like the expert like logistics specifically, so like however this should be split up, I fully trust like other people to do. I just do agree with wanting to split it up. In general, just knowing from like a couple of senators that are like have already been like, oh my god, when's this gonna be so busy, or like the next month is going to be so busy. Like a lot of people are feeling, I think, just particularly anxious about that. So however we do split it up, I think it'll be beneficial to us regardless. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ari. And Wesley?
I'm just gonna say that my only concern with like having a week gap is that people just sort of start to check out because it's been a week, and they might forget that Senate exists with our already tenuous quorum numbers. I do think the suggestion of having that special session be online would sort of alleviate that, but it's I'd be okay with either suggestion. I just have that one like concern, I guess, about having a week gap.
Yeah, no, that's actually my concern too. I do know that if you're already coming like in a rhythm, and then you just kind of like we already cut it off with spring break, and then cut another week, and then have another couple weeks before the joint Senate. I don't know, seems like a little bit confusing, and might just make senators be like, okay, I'll just not go to this last session since we already had a break anyways. So let me think.
I posted a question in the chat.
Oh. If we did the second session completely online, then could it happen April 6th? Yeah, I believe so. In the calendar I made for the special sessions, I did do them like I indicate them as fully online. So I think that would be the move. Is that right? Does that sound right, Alessia?
That does.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, Alessia, if we did that?
Oh no, yeah, I can fully host it online. It will be no issue for me. It just is a question of like whether or not people want fee presented online or in person, because that can sometimes be a topic that gets debated over the course of a few hours. So yeah, those are really the only things that come to mind with it. I personally would still like the week gap because I think that giving people a break from Senate allows them to come back a bit more refreshed into the space and allows them to have a little more time to think about like the implication of like these like last few votes. But if people are wanting to get this done earlier and without that gap, I could also see like the logic behind that.
I do see Camden said on the message that I don't love the idea of fee being online. Most finance would probably agree. So then, based on Camden's comment and on the idea of having a break, should we just have fee done on that last session that Alessia is recommending, and have that be in person, and have all the other matters discussed in between now and the 6th one? The 6th.
I suggested in the chat that we do a poll and put both dates in and see what gets the best vote from people. I don't know.
How do I do a poll here? Oh, or would it be the StudEx channel?
That you can do on a private channel, sadly.
Oh,
So you would just probably be taking a poll. I would say probably just have people put like 6 or 13 in the chat on like when they feel like they'd like to host that. If the 13th would be hybrid, or yeah, you could also just have people put hybrid online. Any sort of like dichotomy there.
Awesome. So yeah, could people just put real quick in the chat if they would favor having the fee and everything be reviewed on the 6th fully online, or if we're splitting it so that it's hybrid and there's a session on the 13th too. And just type it on the chat.
Or no, please. Only on the 13th. Or at least that's how I thought.
Sorry. Instead of the 6th. Right. Yeah, my bad. And so if you put 6th, it means that we would have it next week without a break. If you put 13th, it means we would have it on the 13th with a break next week.
Can we put both if we're okay with both?
Stick to one.
Well, that yeah, that's fair. I feel like it both wouldn't hurt us, but also for just deductive things here. And are people throwing it in the chat? Oh, there it goes.
Are we gonna do the same thing for like hybrid or online only?
Well,
if it's on the 13th, it would be hybrid, and whereas if it's on the 6th, it would be fully online because Alessia and most of the exec would be in DC. So have that in mind. So if you're saying 6, it's kind of saying that we're gonna do it online and review fee online, whereas if it's the 13th, hybrid mode, we can discuss it again on in person.
I'm sorry, I thought the understanding was that the 6th would be the first of 2 sessions, but we'd have a session on the 3rd, on the 6th and the 13th, correct?
So that was the initial proposal, but what's being proposed is that we have a week break. So like whenever there was supposed to be councils, just like not like just having the meeting on the 13th.
Cool, I'd like to change my vote then. I'm sorry. I'll
Okay.
vote for the 13th.
Yeah, no worries. Sounds good. Then with that, the majority has said 13th.
and so it's unanimous, really.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry if there was confusion there. But yeah, with that,
I'll motion for that then.
Awesome.
Second.
We have a motion and second from Alessia. All those in favor of having a separate sessions, one on the one that's coming on Wednesday and then one on the 13th, please say aye.
Aye. Or type aye.
Actually, you could put it on the chat, just for the.
When you said aye. And technically both are on the record, voice votes.
True. There we go. All right. Nice. And so with that, I'm just going to pass this to like a separate doc real quick, just so that I have it there, and then I can delete that part, and then we can vote on the agenda. Oops. All right. Do I see any Oh, are you planning to update this schedule on this? Yeah, because we actually do have a schedule. Like I was gonna show you all a schedule right now in a bit, just before I post it everywhere. And so with these new changes, it's great because I can. But are there any other questions with the agenda or comments, or do I see a?
Motion to vote.
All right. Do I see a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any opposition? All right. We're gonna vote now on the agenda for this. If you're in favor, please say aye.
Oh, Umberto, we can't hear your mic. Something's covering it.
No way. What about now?
Now we're good. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, just vote aye if you approve the agenda.
Perfect.
Looks like we're missing a couple votes. All right, and with that, this agenda passes. All right, thank you all so much. Now, very quick, our next 2 items. One of them is gonna be very quick. Let me just show y'all.
Sarah has her hand up here.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Sarah. You can speak.
Just to confirm, because I'll be needing to relay this to quite a few people, did you just pass an agenda for this Wednesday that does not include finalizing the fee bill? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. And well, I guess Sarah, with that, like that's considering that the fee, like that still gives us time to submit it within the framework that Naya was talking about.
Which I will confirm. I'll message tomorrow everyone in StudEx when we talk to the Chancellor and Dr. Durham, just to make sure that what we decided on today like still falls within that time period. So if we talk to them and they're like, for whatever reason,
Okay.
I'll make sure y'all know as soon as possible.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Naya. So yeah, I guess it would be dependent on that. If they say it's like super crucial that we pass it this week, it can definitely be amended into the agenda. If they say it's okay, then yeah, it would be passed on.
How would it be amended though? It'd have to be introduced into committee of the whole, most likely during that session.
Oh well, I guess we can do that.
Because yeah, we wouldn't have like enough for like 24 hours notice for StudEx, I don't believe. And then yeah, we'd run into some issues with the 24-hour notice for the students' assembly agenda if we tried to re-add it.
Okay, sounds good.
But the likelihood is that we would just probably need to do it on the 6th, not have to put it in this Wednesday, I would think, with the timeline that Naya gave us of the 20th.
Yeah, that could also be an option if we had like an emergency StudEx in between there.
All right, so let me show you then the cycles calendar. So this is what I had before right now. So I guess this extra one is not happening, right? It's a break. So I'm gonna put here break. And then this one would be hybrid, not fully online, hybrid. And this is when we would review fee.
Yeah, and then instead of putting extra, can you just put like special session?
Oh yeah.
Didn't we move the joint Senate to May? Or is that just me?
No, okay, so joint Senate should be moved to the 27th, at least I thought.
Yeah, it is here in the 27th.
Oh, I thought it was going to be May 4th. I don't know why I thought that.
Right.
Huh.
And then we still have councils on the 20th, or were we planning to do it on the same day? Because I seem to remember that we were planning for it on the same day. Oh, and Sarah also said it was listed on the 4th of May on the Senate website.
Yeah, I thought we discussed in StudEx last week that it was going to be moved because the elections would be happening that week, or there wouldn't be enough time or something. I'm sure we talked about that last time, that there wouldn't be enough time, and we wanted to make sure that the Elections Commission had enough time, so that's why we moved it to May.
I
think you might be right.
Yeah, May 4th, we moved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then councils, do we want them to be that same day?
At least that's how I thought we had scheduled it, like put them like either before or after the joint. They're listed as such. Okay, so yeah, I do believe that was the decision that was made at our last StudEx then.
Okay, so May 4th too.
Yeah, and I can review the footage here, but otherwise I think, yeah, those are the dates we listed.
Awesome. All right. Yep. Any questions about how this schedule looks like before it gets sent out to folks?
I guess. All right, so that would be 2 weeks then from the special session before joint Senate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And the final item in our agenda is just a brief discussion so that everyone's like on the same page about this. And So there was a decision taken by the Elections Commission to extend the deadline of the elections. I'm sorry, not the elections, but of when people could apply to like file their candidacy. And this was because not that many people had signed up for it, and it's because the Elections Commission hadn't really promoted it, but that's been corrected. It has been sent on a Silk email and a Student Affairs email. Sorry, Rock Chalk Central email and Student Affairs email. So now it's campus wide known, and so the deadline is this Friday. Like that's officially no changing last day to file candidacy. And this was, of course, with the sole intention of making sure that like as many people know about it, and so that they have time to decide whether to run or not. Just because we, at least on our end, there wasn't the best communication on about like deadlines and stuff. So this kind of corrects that. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it forward. Any comments, questions, concerns about that?
Are we
Just that
looking for a
it's,
motion? Oh,
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's a good thing because a graduate student brought up to me that they hadn't received the communication. And I guess sometimes when we're involved in Senate, we know what's going on, but like the wider population don't. And it should be open to everybody. So I'm glad that the deadline was extended so people can know about it.
I was going to say, should we motion to approve this action taken by them, even if it was extra constitutional, given the reasoning they gave?
Yeah, I second that.
But is it up to us to ratify that? Like, wouldn't it be more like?
Well, no, it's not up
We-
to us to ratify. It would just be once again a statement of support for that action in the case that it was contested.
Okay, I see. Yeah, no, we can totally do that. So I'll take that as a motion from Alessia and seconded by Holly. Do I see any opposition to voting on whether we want to support that or not? All right. So then we can go ahead and vote. If you are in favor of the decision, please say aye. If you oppose, say nay. If you abstain, just say abstention.
Oh, and Naya, are you going to vote?
Should I take it as a?
Well, I mean, we do have quorum. Could you, Umberto, the mic is coming in and out again. Yeah.
So sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we do have quorum. So sounds good. Then this decision has been supported by us. Awesome. I think that's the last item in our agenda. Do folks have any announcements before we adjourn?
Yes, the women's Women and Fen Leadership Conference that Naya and I have worked on is this Thursday from 2 to 5 in the Kansas Union Ballroom. So please come.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've seen like just the people that are coming to that. So we appreciate like all the effort that both of you have put into this. I think it's going to be great. Any other announcements? All right, then I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I see a second?
Me.
Awesome. It's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor, please make a motion or a reaction, whatever.
All right.
Awesome.
Go ahead
Thank you all
and
so
start.